Here's a quick look into today's episode.
Studying. Or what do you want to study?
What do I want to get out of SAMS? I want those skills that I saw from my bosses in the past. And, I'm a month in right now, and I'm already seeing it. Like, that is what I am getting, like, from the get-go.
I think the key is, like, listening. So if you walk into a room and you listen for the first few minutes, you listen for a long time, and you figure out what that room needs.
Right.
Was it, like, when you say, like, they're awesome, like, what makes somebody, awesome versus, like, what makes somebody not so, that you don't want to be around?
It's hard to explain. I think you call it the magic sometimes. Like, there's this magic. When you walk in a room, like, you want to be with those people. You want to be around them.
Welcome to another episode of Teach Me to Fish, where our purpose is to help leaders better understand what drives people. In today's world, the core of recruiting and retaining talent revolves around leadership. And not just average leadership, but motivated, values-based, inspirational leadership. Our purpose is to get a little bit better every day. Progress equals small victories and stacking habits. Habits like getting up early, working your butt off, learning something new, being positive, and surrounding yourself with phenomenal people. Today's conversation is with Konrad Kearcher. Konrad is currently a student at the Army School for Advanced Military Studies, SAMS. Konrad and I sat down for a quick conversation to catch up, share his story with you, and spark some ideas for his future studies while at SAMS, and hear what's on his mind as he moves from captain and company grade to major and a field grade officer. This conversation is intended to be a quick hitter, right to the point, and can be done during a lunch break. I hope you enjoy today's conversation with Konrad Kearcher.
My name is Konrad Kearcher. I'm a major in the United States Army. Husband, father, currently student at SAMS, School of Advanced Military Studies at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Currently just getting my brain pumped full of theory, history, doctrine, getting a chance to practice using that every day. And then hopefully a year from now, I'll be off to a 2-star headquarters or higher, and I'll be leading planning teams, so helping commanders make decisions.
Yeah. How'd you hear about SAMS and what made push you towards SAMS?
So I was fortunate. I had 6 different majors when I was in Hawaii with you.
Mm-hmm.
4 of them went to SAMS, and we'd be out in training exercises, and they would be doing stuff that was outside the norm. And I recognized that, and I'd ask them, like, where did you pick this up? Did you just make this up? And they'd look at me, and they'd all go, just go to SAMS. Like, you'll figure it out. You just have to go to SAMS.
Who was it? Who were the 4 of the 6?
So I'm going to accidentally call them majors, but I think they're all lieutenant colonels now.
That's all right. We always referred to everybody as the rank at which they were when we met them. Like, it's always in our phones that way. Yeah.
So you have Lieutenant Colonel Burke, Lieutenant Colonel Yoon, Colonel Yi, and then Colonel Scott. And then I think actually Lieutenant Colonel Teish, he went as well, the Brigade S2 for a time. So that's 5 right there.
Yeah.
All of them went, and then they all said the same thing. Like, you want to get real good at this? You want to learn some of these things that I'm doing that my peer group isn't doing? Go to SAMS. And they weren't saying that in an arrogant way. No way. They're actually very humble about it. And it was just like a matter of fact. That's the place where I learned how to do these things.
Absolutely.
And then Colonel Scott actually followed up on that, and he said, "Look, hey, you should go. You'd be good at it."
Did they tell you that when you were a captain, back when you were, when you were the Squadron S2?
Oh, absolutely.
So they were already talking to you about it back then?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Every single one of them between.
What did you think when they said that?
I didn't really know what it was. I just knew it as this place where apparently you got pumped full of all this great knowledge that I wanted to gain. But then when I got closer to it and I was looking at the reading load, the workload, I was like, I kind of like to just go back to work. And that's when I talked to my wife, and she was like, hey, you wanted to do this. People have faith that you can do this and be good at it. just do it.
Yeah.
So I stuck with it.
Yeah. And all those people that you spit out, like they're absolutely normal people. They're great people.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal people in the first place.
Yeah.
Then they're also went at Sam's. Then they're also smart. Then they're also every single one of those people they're also tactical geniuses.
Yeah.
Like it all kind of comes together. So it's not like they're just good at one thing. They're pretty much good at all those things that we just said. So great examples of people to kind of follow. Why'd you go into the Army in the first place?
So I had previous experience. I was in the Marine Corps Reserve right out of high school. So I did a couple deployments in the Marine Corps Reserve. And so those experiences...
What was your MOS?
1171, I think, was the MOS number. Hygiene Equipment Operator.
Hell yeah.
So if you've ever seen In the Army Now with Pauly Shore, that was what I did in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
So that was not...
Yeah.
That was not what I was going in for, but that was what was available. They're like, you can leave right after high school and go straight to boot camp and do this, or you can wait like 6 months to a year and you could do like an infantry reserve slot. And I was like, I want to go to California to go to boot camp like as soon as possible. And what sold it by that time, they're like, but you'll be a Marine. And I was like, that's it. Like, I just want to be a Marine. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what I ended up getting. And so I had that experience.
What pushed you towards the Army?
So I got out after 6 years because I was in Michigan and I decided to go back to school because I got married and had a kid. And it was like time to get together and take it to the next level. So I went back to school in Pennsylvania. And so there was just that distance thing, 1 week in a month wasn't really happening. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get out. But the plan was to graduate and then go to Marine Corps OCS. And then I went into the VA office to get my GI Bill benefits. And the guy there was a National Guard captain, I believe at the time. He was like, hey, if you're staying here and going to school, and he pushed a piece of paper across the table and he's like, just letting you know, this is an option and this is how much money you make in school. And I was working at UPS at nights at the time to pay for school as well. So it was an option to just go to school full time and like take care of my family at the same time. So at first I took it and I was like, no, like ego. I'm a Marine. I'm not Army. Like I don't need that stuff. But then took it home to my wife and she's like, this is an opportunity. I think you should take it. And I said, you're always right about stuff. And so let's do it. And I did ROTC.
How was those first few years? Like once you got out of ROTC, you got out into the Army. Did they meet your expectations?
So for me, I got very lucky. My first Brigade S2, which was my first boss, he was awesome. And I don't know what it was, but he saw something and he took me under his wing and he said, hey man, like I'm going to give you responsibilities that are above your pay grade. Like, but I think you can do it. And then even on the personal side, like we would go take cycling trips together and things like that. And my first boss was like a mentor to me. Mm-hmm. So I struck gold on that. Sometimes just normal Army operation stuff, I would like get bored or whatever, but then I'd go to him and be like, hey, here's your next step. Here's what you can do to get after it now. So those first 3 years were great. Then I went to Captain's Career Course. It was okay. It was kind of a refresher. Yeah. And then I went to Hawaii and joined the Snakes. And that was like the game changer for me. That's when I was like, I'm in it. I'm all in right now.
Really?
So, yep. Because all those people I read off earlier, they were all like so awesome. I wanted to be like them. The command that we had there, like all the way up to the CG of the division, down to you, it just seemed like everyone was awesome. And I was like, so this can happen. This can be the Army life. And that's when I'm in it to win it.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit more about like when you start to look around and it's one thing to say like this person's awesome, Trivius is awesome, Burke's awesome, Yoon's awesome. What was it like when you say like they're awesome? Like what makes somebody awesome versus like what makes somebody not so that you don't want to be around?
It's hard to explain. Like, I think you call it the magic sometimes. Like there's this magic when you walk in a room, like you want to be with those people, you want to be around them. And part of it is, just basic stuff. Like they have a good attitude when they come in. They're like positive and they're always finding stuff for you to do that you want to do. And they're always there, like open door policy. If you want to talk about some stuff, I can help you figure things out. I think a lot of it is like they're genuine people. They have skills. I know Colonel Yoon, we used to joke about he was like a Yoda or a Jedi. Like he could just walk into any office on the staff and just sit down, and like when he leaves the room, you're like, I feel better now, you know.
Yeah.
And same way with you. Like you just talk to certain people, and when you step away from them, you're like, all right, like I feel good. I feel better than when I first started talking to him.
I think the key is like listening.
Mm-hmm.
So if you walk into a room and you listen for the first few minutes, you listen for a long time, and you figure out what that room needs.
Right.
The flip side to that is when someone walks into a room with a piece of information or something that they want to say, they're like, I'm going to say this no matter what anybody in the room has to say. And it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the situation. It's not what that group is looking for. It's not the problem that they're trying to solve. And although you think you're the smartest dude in the room, you know, you're like, they're like, that provided no value to what it is we were getting after. I think that's what those people learned how to do, is they learned how to listen, and then they learned how to figure out how they could provide value at that moment in time.
Like no one else figured out how to say it that way, but when they said it, it just seemed so easy to comprehend and take and like run with it.
Yeah. And so you said exactly what I was hoping to kind of get at. The meat of our conversation, you know, is the captains and the majors. Right about now, our company commanders getting ready to be majors. That being like that, the target audience that we're talking about right now. It's you, it's your peers, it's your teammates. And why would you want to stay with the Army? Why would you want to get out? There's so much opportunity out there for people like you to go and do different things. But why would you choose to stay with the Army, to stay around these kind of people? I think leaders want to and need to hear what you're saying and your teammates are saying, so that they can go out and replicate it at their battalions, in their brigades, in their companies, and the people that they're around.
Early in my career, I was around really good people that I wanted to be like. Talking to my peers, I think I had a better experience than most maybe did, and that's kind of what's always kept me in. So even when I've been in certain situations where the leadership wasn't the greatest, I knew that it could be, and I knew how things could be. So having good leader, it's really as simple as just having a good leader that you admire and want to be like, and they tell you you have the potential to be me or be better than me. And like you could come to work and it could feel like this when you're in charge in the future. Like, keep working hard, keep trying to be better every day. And then you can have this too. And you can have that rewarding feeling that I get when I come to work every day. It's as simple as that for me. Like, I saw it, I liked it, I wanted to be like that. Luckily, I feel like the Army's giving me opportunities to pursue that. So,
yeah. And the people they demonstrated it. What were some of the things that they told you to do? Like, we spoiler alert was Sam's. They said go to Sam's. But what were some of the other things, little things that people told you to do that allow you to be that way?
Well, I don't think our little things. Some other people think our little things is like counseling, taking care of people. Like, that's kind of where it all starts. You have to have that before you can take it to the next level. Focus on your people, figure out what makes them tick.
What about counseling? Like, what's good counseling versus what's shitty counseling?
Shitty counseling is, I have to do this. Here's my pre-filled out sheet that all I pretty much do is change the name on it. I'm going to give you like the standard boilerplate stuff that I know I'm supposed to say. Pretty much read it to you verbatim. You're going to sign it and you're going to go away and we're going to check that block. Good counseling is, hopefully you've already had a conversation or two, figured out a little bit what these people are about and what makes them tick. And then you really take time, you clear your calendar, you sit down and you focus on that person and you say, okay, here's where we're at. Here's what my organization is all about. Where can those two things come together? So you can get kind of what your goals are. And that also helps out the organization's goals. And we kind of blend those together. And then we talk about it. And we make sure we're on the same page. You don't just say like, here's how it is, here's how it's going to be. Like, it's really a two-way thing. Because if I say something, you're like, that's not going to work for me, let's figure it out.
Yeah, and I think you got to be comfortable. Like, no one's going to say, here's what I'm thinking until they're comfortable saying that, especially if it's like a lieutenant and a lieutenant colonel or something like that, or a lieutenant and a major, and they're like, sit down, let me tell you everything I know.
Yeah.
It's not going to work that way. Figuring out what are some of the ways that you were able to kind of figure out what made people tick.
So just my personality is, I think I'm pretty observant. Like some people think like, man, you're too quiet. But a lot of times I'm just very in tune. I'm listening so intently and like watching people so intently. I think that kind of helps a little bit. I can pick up on things. I think I try to get a sense for when people are talking, do they actually feel that way? Or are they just saying something because they know they need to say it? And then it's usually just a follow-up question. Like, I heard you say this. And then probe a little bit, and then they're like, wow, he's interested. It's not just me being like, task. I have a question. I need you to give me a quick answer. It's like, no, he's actually interested. He cares.
Yeah, I love it. The Ask a Better Question. Joe Bartley just released an episode from the Green Notebook, and it was about asking better questions. And it's actually caring. It starts with listening. This next is ask better questions. You have to care about what it is they're going to say, and it has to be safe. They have to feel safe that they're going to be able to tell you the truth and that you're going to actually use it. And a lot of times that's why people don't get honest feedback. They're not. It's either not safe or they know you don't care with what they have to say, so they're not going to give you the truth. You're just going to get some made up kind of answer.
The caring piece for me, that's my number one. Like, what I want in a leader is do they genuinely care about not just me? Like, I'll take care of me, that's fine, but what the team is doing. Yeah. Because everybody can tell. You can tell if they're just kind of faking the funk. Was there a time
when you were like a captain, or maybe even before, where somebody did something and you were like, that just shows how much they cared?
There's been plenty of those. And then there's also he's kind of saying what he's supposed to say. That's not how he really feels. It's dishonest. Mm-hmm. You can say what you need to say and are supposed to say sometimes, but when they don't really believe that and they're just kind of blowing smoke. Yeah. That's a huge red flag for me, because then you don't know what the trust is between you and that person. Are they just telling me something because they feel like they need to say that, or can I trust what they're telling me is what they honestly feel? So
you finish being a captain, you have to leave, Hawaii, you got to go to Mississippi. How were those couple years out there? But you said, as captain, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm all in. Yeah. But you hadn't got picked for CGSC yet. You hadn't applied for SAMS. So what was the direction after you said, I know I want to do this, to go there?
Mississippi it was COVID time. So my options were limited, but Mississippi had a grad school for my wife as well. So it was kind of a family decision. So we went there, and there's some good parts. I had some great leaders. I don't want to discredit everything, but it was hard for my family and I. It was just a different culture, different experience, different leadership situations that I had never had to maneuver through, with my bosses going through some things that were tough, the organization had to deal with. And then I was actually the number 2, so the executive officer of this unit. So then all of a sudden I was in a command spot. Difficult, but I tried to look at it as this is a good learning experience and I just need to take care of my people. But it was something that I didn't expect. And there was a lot of fallout from that situation. It was not as positive. Every day going to work in Hawaii, I was positive. And that was
yeah. So if that was a 180, sometimes that's all it takes for somebody to say, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. But in your mind, why were you hey, I can get past this. We're going to finish this up. We're going to stay strong. Things are going to get better.
So real talk. There were a lot of days where I would go home and talk to Christine and be like, I don't know, maybe I just got real lucky in Hawaii. There was doubt. Maybe I got real lucky in Hawaii. If this is a 50-50 shot every time we PCS. I don't know if I want to do this. I'm coming home. I don't feel energized coming home from work or anything like that. But then she would point out things to me okay, besides all that stuff in the Army, what else are you going to do? And she'd always throw that, what else are you going to do? What's important to you? And I'd list off the things, and they're all things that the Army paid me to do. That, on the civilian side, they wouldn't pay me to do. They pay me more money, probably. Yeah. but it wouldn't be part of my lifestyle.
What are some of those things that you say, like, I do that I value the most?
So exercise, like just valuing exercise and health, getting outside, being around people who volunteer to be part of an organization. They want to be part of a team. Being around soldiers, which it's a different community. There's a different attitude, a different environment. There's something about being around soldiers that's just different. I like that. And the brotherhood, the fraternity, like I think I would miss out on that. And then lifestyle things. My wife and I like moving every 3 years. We like going to new places. We like the change. The Army pays for all of that. I don't have to worry about like practical things, healthcare for my family and kids. I don't have to worry about a mortgage payment unless I want to take on something extra. Just things like that. It all adds up.
Hold on. Boyer. Look at this. Come on in. What's up, brother?
Sir,
how are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing good?
Great to see you. Yeah.
Good to see you, too.
I'm just taking a lap around the library. We're doing in-process and briefs this week. So I just got here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
It's amazing how many people, like just sitting in this room, we've been sitting in here for like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
How many people I've seen walk by.
That you recognize?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, you just moved in?
Just moved in. We have a 3-week-old baby girl.
Oh, my
two,
goodness. Congratulations.
2 weeks after we got here, so I'm kind of tired, so I apologize. But it's good. It's a great place to have a newborn and kind of chill out right now. And we got family visited and still coming, so the course hasn't really ramped up yet. So it's all
This
good.
is Konrad Kearcher.
Hi, how's it going? Yeah. Nice to meet you, Aaron.
We served in Hawaii together. He's here doing Sam's, right now, and he's telling me all about it. We're recording everything we're saying right now.
Okay, it's going to be on the podcast.
Yeah, it is.
You're going to edit me out a little bit.
No, maybe we'll include you in.
Yeah, great. What are you doing here, sir?
Yeah, I'm here for PCC.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm finishing up the pre-command course. I got a couple more days of this, and then I go back to Hawaii and go to Alaska, meet some of the people in Alaska, and then take command in 3 weeks.
Congrats.
Awesome. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah, hit me up, brother. I'll be here.
Yeah,
okay.
Great.
I'll be here for like 2 more days.
Good to meet you. Yeah, 2 more days?
Yeah, just 2 more days.
No worries. Yeah. Okay, well, let's get back to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care, brother. Yeah. Good times.
See, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the other thing.
No matter where you go, like the longer you're in, the more you just run into people that you're happy to see.
Yeah, just like that.
Just like that.
Walking by. So you see people like walking by, and so where were we? We're talking some of the things that you enjoy. She said, "Why would you stay?" These are some of the things that I enjoy. I enjoy working out. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy being. So you had to decide, like, I'm going to go to CGSC, and we're going to keep doing this, right? So you probably came out on the list for CGSC the next year.
Oh yeah, yep. Came out on the list. Kind of expected it. We were planning like it was going to happen, but again, like you don't assume 100% everything.
Yeah, but you got to plan it.
Yeah, we planned it, and we were looking forward to it. And then we got here to CGSC, and we were back in a solid military community, like almost 100% military. Which in Mississippi, we were military. We had people, but we were all separated by housing and things like that. So the community wasn't as strong. And then we were back here, and then for my whole family, for me, my wife, my kids, it was like an instant switch. It was just like, okay, because all the other families are used to it in the same way. Like you move, and then you walk outside, and you just start meeting people, and you have to be a good person, be open to meeting new people, bring people in, form groups, strong groups and bonds, and it's just natural, and it felt more natural as soon as we got back into that military community.
I think that's important for people that go and try different things to hear. How many times have you been somewhere and within the first 5 minutes people say it's different here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just different. It's not the same, right? Why can't it be the same?
Right.
Like, why can't it be similar? Why can't some of the community stuff be the same? Like families getting together or people supporting each other. You go to this organization and everybody knows each other's spouse, their kids. They understand what their ages are and stuff. You go to this organization and you never do anything together. There's never. It's so much more just focused on the mission. It's just focused on getting the job done. Nobody at that point, you feel like nobody cares about my family. Nobody cares about what I'm doing. Nobody cares that I got to stay here late tonight. And that wears people down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think I've been luckier the most in that aspect. Where, there's different levels to it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But most places I've been, like, family has been important. And I've had leadership that, like, practice what they preach.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but even as a lieutenant, I remember one instance where we were out doing gunnery. I was with an Apache battalion out in the field. Son had a medical emergency. Like, there was no option. My battalion commander came in and said, "You're gone. Like, that's it. Like, this is more important. Leave. Like, we'll figure it out. You need to go take care of your family right now." And that's happened a couple times in my family. Yeah. It's like, nope, we'll figure it out. You go take care of your family first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, the little things that people think is just something small ends up being something huge. So you find yourself out here, you finished up CGSC last year. Now you've moved into SAMS. What are you hoping to get out of SAMS? What are you studying? Or what do you want to study?
What do I want to get out of SAMS? I want those skills that I saw from my bosses in the past. And, I'm a month in right now, and I'm already seeing it. Like, that is what I am getting. Like, from the get-go, you're studying. It seems like high academic, but they also bring in, like, practical. Like, you're studying theory that's military, outside of military, tons of history. You're looking at the doctrine that we've grown up with and everything. But you're figuring out how to pull all that together and lead teams, like planning teams. So really, have you ever read the book Range?
Yes.
Yeah. That was one of the first books we read. And so that's what I'm most grateful for being here, is like, they are giving this huge range of knowledge to us. All I have to do is, like, absorb this and figure out how to use it. That's what I want to come out here with. I just want more tools in the toolkit. I want to be better prepared as a major. I want to have, as much of that knowledge as I can. If it needs to be called upon, I have it. And I've prepared myself. And then also, just like my majors did for me, like, I can pass it on and I can put it inside the captains and the lieutenants in my unit and be like, this is a thing that can happen and this knowledge is out there and let's use it.
Yeah. I think you just answered my next question, which was going to be, what do you think makes a good field grade? You just tapped into it, passing that information on, feeling confident in yourself that you know both the tactical side, the history side, the practical side when you get back out there, so that you can pass it on. Where do you want to serve when you leave here?
I want to go back to Hawaii, sir.
Yeah. Back to the Pacific?
Back to the Pacific.
What is it about the Pacific?
Well, first of all, at CGSC and SAMS, like, that's a focus for reasons.
Right.
That's an Army focus right now. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of hard problems that I want to be a part of solving, a lot of decisions that commanders need to be making. And if I can contribute in that way, like, that's where I want to be.
What kind of problems are you hoping to maybe get into a little bit over the next year?
There's a lot of just how are we going to do it problems, especially, with MDO. This is getting super Army. But
yeah.
we have this new operational concept. And so a lot of my peer group are trying to figure out, what does this look like? How can we bring it into fruition? How can we help commanders in an environment like, you think Army, you think land, but there's a huge, huge space around all that land. So trying to figure out how can we get there and what are we going to do when we get there? I think things that the Army has done in the past, but now bringing in, like, it's 2024. What changed and what can we do now with that? The information space is another thing that we spend a lot of time talking about. If we're not in armed conflict, what can we do to compete? So that's another big focus that myself and a lot of my classmates are really looking into. Like, how do we compete in a military, even if we're not shooting?
Yeah. That's huge. They got you studying a lot outside of not just, like, the military side of it. Is there a lot of studying? I know you said range, but the political side, the economic side, environmental.
That's where a lot of that theory comes in. And I think they teach us through theory just because it is broad and you can use those frameworks and apply it. So we learn political theory, or we did learn economic and statistic theory. Like, I don't have a degree in it, but I have enough to know kind of how to use that information now. So that's where that range and breadth comes in. As we hit organizational theory. How do you organize units? to be more effective? How do you organize spaces that you work in to be more effective? Even things like that. We're talking about all that stuff.
I won't even start asking like what books and stuff like that, because they've probably got thousands. A book a day, 2 podcasts a day. Anybody that's like thinking, any captains like that are struggling right now to kind of decide whether or not they want to give either CGSC a shot, some form of PME, or off to SAMS. You got any advice for those people as they prepare or think about it?
Yeah, why not? If the Army's giving you an opportunity to study for a year, that's what it came down to for me when I was talking to my wife about it. It's like, yeah, I want to get back and get after it. Take your shot. Try it out. Like, throw your name in the hat. And if you're not ready for it, they'll tell you. And okay, but at least you shot your shot. You know, just go for it.
Yeah. And in most cases in the Army, it's not like you get the job, you didn't get the job. And so many times in the Army, it's like, you've got the job. Now it's our job to get you across the line. Yeah. So we're going to let you come in and we're going to give you an opportunity here. But now it's our job to help you get across the line. Okay. What questions you got for me?
I mean, there's the standard question, but I think I already know the answer. But for the audience, I mean, what are you looking for people that come out of CGSC?
I'm looking for people to be courageous problem solvers, people that know exactly what they bring to the team, and they're confident in the skills that they have. They're also super confident telling you, I'm not really good at this, this, and this. Like, these are the things I'm not that good at. And I'm comfortable allowing my teammates to pick up the slack, in those areas and say, this is what I'm about. This is what drives me. This is what fuels me. This is what wakes me up at 5 a.m. without an alarm clock and says, I want to go in this direction. Because when they tell me that, I can help put them in a position on the bus where they can do that every single day. And if they tell me what those things are and I can figure out what they are, we're going to have a bunch of people in the right seats on the bus doing what they love doing every single day. And it's going to inspire not just their teammates on their left and right, but the people that are all working with them and for them. What else?
So
even if it's like personal shit, like anything, we've got 10 more minutes.
All right. So when I think about my time with you back in Hawaii, and I think about myself when I go home from work every day, I'm like, I don't know how this guy does it. Like, I think I love my job, and I know you love your job. I'm trying to figure out what the question is.
It's all right.
Tactfully. Bad days. Like, I don't know if I ever saw you had a bad day. And from my experience, I know there's certain times, like, you want to be vulnerable and, like, open and honest. But as a leader, like, you don't want to just be like, I'm having a bad day and let it crush, like, everybody else's day. Did you have bad days? And then, like, where did you deal with those bad days? Because I never saw it.
Wow. Well, first, I appreciate that you think that. But second, it's absolutely, you need to know what's going to trigger you to have a bad day, what's going to trigger you to have a bad hour. Deion Sanders said, you can't, there's no bad days. Right. You can have a bad minute, you can have a bad hour, but you can't have the whole bad day. Like, you've got to figure out a way to kind of overcome it. Yeah. How do you overcome it? When you sense some of those things in you, hungry, tired, not enough caffeine, not a morning person, not an afternoon, I'm not good when I'm tired at night, whatever that is for you. For me, what I would do is I would avoid those situations. I would avoid them. And I would make sure that if I saw it coming, I would eat something. If I saw it coming, I would take a nap. If I saw it coming, I'd get more caffeine. I'd get a drip drop. I would find a way to get hydrated. If I started to feel myself starting to dip, I would stand up and go find somebody and talk to them to get remotivated. And then if I had like a really hard time, I would go find that teammate that I trusted. Yeah. If I was really confused, I went and found Rick Turner. I would go and find him because I trusted him and I could share something with him and he would tell me, this is what I think you can do, or this is what I think you need. Because he was dialed in on me. He knew what I needed. Yeah. Or if I was dealing with something at home, I'd go find Christy. I would go talk to her, but I would stop. I would leave. Sometimes you'd have to leave and you have to go find that person. You might have to go home and you might have to go outside and call somebody. You might have to close the door. Yeah. You might have to meditate for 10 minutes. But it's about figuring out what it is that sets you off and what it takes to get you back on track. And I think if you're constantly practicing it, I call it the ideal day, but if you're constantly trying to perfect the ideal day, and then you start to feel yourself, I ate too much. If you eat too much at lunch, you're going to start to get tired. If you start to get tired, you're going to get cranky. That's the worst time to do a meeting is 1400 after you had a big lunch. Don't eat a big lunch, or don't schedule a meeting for 1400 for the love of Pete. Like, you know you're going to be at your worst. Yeah. Schedule the meetings for when you know you're going to be at your best, and then go do things. Go out and walk around at 1300, because it's hard to be tired and like at 1300. If you're out walking around, that's the time to go to the companies. That's the time to go see people, to walk around, to go walk around the motor pool, to go see how the maintenance is doing in the afternoon. That's how I got past the bad days. But there was plenty of them, I promise you.
It sounds like you just developed that practice and habit of recognizing it faster and already having something in the bag. Like, this is what I know I need to do.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I screwed it up way more times than there's so many occasions where I just flew off the handle, or I just didn't. And hopefully I'm thankful that you didn't see it as often, but like, this was the stuff we did at JRTC. This is the stuff that we did at Lighting Forge. These were the things that we were practicing on the Big Island. Yeah. Figuring out your sleep schedule. Yeah. Figuring out how it's going to work. Those little things could turn out to be the biggest things. Yeah. What else?
Field scope. I saw it in your face. Field scope, not talking like you were talking about, sometimes you fly off the handle. I don't think I ever saw that. But when we got to JRTC, it was a training exercise. I get it. But as soon as we hit the field, there was like a change in your face. And I was like, that's field scope for me. Like, that's what I saw. Are you aware of that when it happens? And what do you think? What is your mentality when you flip that switch?
I think it was Dave Yee that told me about that. He told me about it, and like, he gave me that term, and I had not heard it before. I had not heard it, people. But I think it was growing up as a private in the Rangers, and like growing up, like how focused you had to get when it was time to jump out of a plane, how focused you had to get when it was time to go into the shoot house. It's time to execute a live fire. It's time to set that demo charge. Like, if something goes wrong in this moment, someone could get killed accidentally or seriously. Then you go to combat and you see things happen, or you go to combat and you see how close we were to doing something that could have been catastrophically bad, and then other moments where, because you put the right things in place, something went really well, right? So when you see those things, I think over time, over years and years of just practicing, I think I have figured out, like, this is a time where I need to be absolutely focused. I need to block everything out. It's out. I don't know where my phone is. I have already done all the things. These are the 3 things that are on my mind. Do them before I walk into this conversation. Do them before we go into the field. Make sure I've talked to Christy. I've talked to the kids. I know everything. And then I can go into the woods, put the camo on, and it's different. Yep. It's now field time. It's now game time. Yep. It's time to get fired up. And one of the things we would always do in the Rangers, every time you'd get ready you start putting on your gear, you'd turn on music. Yep. And everybody's got their prep music, right? Yep. That they start doing. Well, when you've listened to that prep music enough times, it's going off in your head and you don't even need to play it. Yep. You don't even need to play it. For me, it was always Twisted Transistor by Konr. Yeah. And that song and you can recite it and you're like, I can hear it. I can just hear the sounds happening in the back of my head, and it would get me fired up and it would tell me it's time to go.
Nice.
All right, I gotta go.
Okay.
Here's a sneak peek into our next episode.
Dumping all this information, all this knowledge, all these 30 years of experience, of an incredibly positive experience, and giving them to these new field grade officers, or soon to be field grade officers. My name is not Rafael, it's Rafael. And growing up, my parents made sure that I knew how to pronounce it correctly. Rafael Vasquez. I'm an American. My dad, he didn't say it all the time, but if you asked him, he would say, I'm Mexican by birth and American by grace of God. And so that's who I am. That's where I come from. A place of anything is possible in the world, and juxtaposed with, but you got to put the work in. And my man shows up with a black beret, and he launched it. like launched it. That dude never recovers. Whoever lost their beret is gone for good. You know, he's wearing the Air Force School patch, whatever, 509.
The flash, the 507.
507 flash, you know?
Yes.
And it flew. That beret was never seen again. When people see that I'm in your podcast here and they see my name, I hope there's plenty of folks that say, he's a good dude.
Thanks for listening today. I hope we sparked some thoughts about the people that have inspired you to be who you are today. I hope you share some of your thoughts and better yet demonstrate them for the people in your life. Our pursuit is to get a little bit better every day. Progress equals small victories stacked on top of each other, building like compound interest. Keep stacking these positive habits. Habits like getting up early, working your butt off, learning something new, being positive, and surrounding yourself with phenomenal people. Please share your comments at the links in the show notes and DM us at Teach Me to Fish podcast on Instagram or Facebook. Looking forward to our next conversation.
Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.